Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films. Happy Halloween. Kind of. Almost. Well, what day is this actually going up? Let's see, some recording. Okay, well, this should be going up to YouTube on October 25th. That's pretty close. That's pretty close to Halloween. It's October. This is the only movie reaction we're doing in October. Last time on the movie reactions, we completed The Hunger Games with Mockingjay Part 2. If you haven't seen those, go check them out. If you haven't watched those movies, go check them out and then watch my reactions. And that was a lot of fun. And we took a slight-ish break from, and I mean a very slight-ish break in movie reactions. We're only doing one movie reaction in the month of October. And so because of that, I went on to my Patreon page and I made a poll, and I put it with, I made it exclusively Halloween horror movies, and one of the movies that was chosen, the movie that got the most votes was Alien. Thanks. Granted, this is my own fault for putting Alien on. Not that I don't want to watch it, okay, so here's the thing. You guys remember how I said I technically watched The Hunger Games, the first Hunger Games movie, but I didn't remember a thing about it? We're sort of in a similar camp here. Technically, I have seen Alien. It was many, many years ago, and it was back when I was a big old fraidy cat, and, I sat as far away from the television as I could, and I, for the most part, did not look at the TV, so I don't remember anything. I vaguely know, the plot. There is an alien, and I know this is a horror movie, a horror sci-fi movie, and, yeah. So, I vaguely know, that there is going to be an alien chasing our characters around. Also, I believe there's a chest burster or something, and maybe a face hugger, something like that. I don't know. I think the alien's called a xenomorph. That's all I got, really. So yeah, I don't remember anything about the plot. I just remember being all scared, and I'm probably going to be scared again today. I do remember that there were some jump scares. I don't remember this being a jump scare heavy film or anything, but I remember there being jump scares in this movie, so that'll be fun. As you can see, we are all ready for the movie. Which basically means I just turned off the overhead light and turned on another light so that you could still actually see me, but it's all dark and spooky, even though the window back here sort of gives away that, yeah, it's 10 o'clock in the morning on a bright, sunny October day, so I tried to make this a bit more spooky, but hey, it's darker in here, so, yeah. We're watching Alien today. That's basically the gist of it, is that we're watching Alien, and it was only until after the poll went up that I realized, oh, Alien, right, that movie I was really, really scared at when I was younger, and I was like, oh crap, it's getting votes. I was like, oh, dang it, but that's okay, that's completely okay. You guys voted for Alien, and I'm happy to oblige. It's totally fine. I think this might be, honestly, a fun reaction. Yeah. That's pretty much that, I guess. If you want to watch the full length of my reaction, the full unedited version is over at my Patreon page for my full-length patrons, which only costs $5 a month. So you can go watch that if you are a full-length patron. Other than that, I guess that's pretty much it. So with all that being said, let's get right into Alien. Here we go. Hello there. If you're watching this, it's because that I've tried to upload this video about 3 or 4 times now, and each time it's been blocked for some weird reason. But that's okay, because there is still a way to watch the reaction to this episode. What you gotta do is head down in the description or to the pinned comment. Click on the link there. Generally, it'll be to Dailymotion. However, there is another link over to Google Drive if you would prefer to use that, or the Dailymotion link doesn't work, or what have you. But go click on that link. That will take you over to the reaction, and it's pretty much just the normal reaction, just like anything else. It's edited. It's nice and good. There's footage in the corner and stuff. You can watch it just like any other reaction, and when you're done with that, I do highly encourage you to pop back over to this YouTube video so that you can watch the discussion for this episode of whatever show I'm putting this clip in. So yeah, in the meantime, I will sit here and let you go watch that. Also, for your viewing pleasure, is also my sleeping dog. Hope you enjoy that too. So yeah, that is pretty much that. Again, link in the description, and when you're done with that, pop right back over here for the discussion. Let's go ahead and get started. Alrighty, that's Alien. That is Alien. Well, I have to say, first off, I am kind of glad, even though it's not that dark in here, I am kind of glad I turned the lights off for this, because that really enhanced the mood. Oh man. That was crazy, man. That was just crazy. Okay. Very terrifying. Very terrifying. Now, not as many... I think even, like, when I first watched it, which, again, I didn't really watch it, and I didn't really, follow the story or anything, but the first time, I do sort of remember that there weren't so many jump scares, So I could have watched it, but that's alright. We watched it now, and we powered through it, so yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow, okay. I have to say, though, the thing that got to me the most was the robot, honestly, Like, I don't know. It's like the plot itself is... I don't want to say, like, it's a basic plot line, but, obviously you've seen thousands of movies that, movies or games or whatever that do this sort of story. It's just that this was the movie that probably pioneered it, Like, they're probably all taking influence from Alien. So that's one thing, but it's like, obviously it does it very well. Obviously this movie does it very well, but the robot twist, and the twist with, like, oh, they were sent there deliberately so that they could bring the alien back so that it could be studied. That's an interesting twist on it, That's an interesting twist. And honestly, it does help with Ash's character, basically, So, speaking of which, cast. Some of them... Okay. I don't know, they kind of looked... I mean, obviously, John Hurt was familiar to me. I recognized John Hurt. Ash also looked kind of familiar, but I can't really place him. Alright, apparently he was in Lord of the Rings, but I haven't seen Lord of the Rings. So, that'll be another movie reaction someday. I'll watch Lord of the Rings. But yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like I should turn the lights on now that the movie's over, but... we'll keep them off for now. I hope this mood lighting has helped in any way for you guys, because I was thinking, like, man, we should have something to, enhance the mood. It's Halloween, or almost Halloween at least, like, we're doing a scary movie for Halloween. Let's, turn the lights off. And obviously, yeah, by the window you can tell it's noon, because that's when I record my movies, is Wednesdays, in the morning, and it drifts over to noon. So the window doesn't help, but I mean, hopefully this whole thing has helped the mood, made this a bit more spooky. Even though this isn't, a normal sort of horror movie, like the other horror movies we had on the poll were like Halloween and like Psycho or It Chapter 1, but we ended up, the people voted for Alien. So this is, yes, a horror movie, but a sci-fi horror movie. So yeah. But I definitely like this. I definitely like this movie. Who knows? Maybe next year we'll do the sequel, Aliens, plural. Now, even though, like I said, I didn't really, watch the movie the last time because I was so scared. I did know like a couple things going into this movie that are pretty much like, it's one of those things like if you spend any time on the internet, you probably will know these things. Like I knew about the face huggers and the chest burster that pops out of John Hurt. If only, I'm pretty sure they directly reference that like in Spaceballs, Pretty sure they have John Hurt in that movie and another chest burster comes out. So, and I pretty much also knew that Ripley survived the movie. So, but other than that, I really didn't know, like I didn't know any of the other characters or anything. So, and I definitely did not know the twist of Ash being a robot. That was so crazy because, again, I never... And we'll talk about this when we get there, but I never would have suspected that, I would have never suspected, oh, yeah, he's a robot. Like, what? Because here's the thing. This is one of those, like, hard sci-fi movies, where it's like, yeah, this is sci-fi, here we are on a spaceship, and there's an alien running around. But it's not, Star Trek or Star Wars kind of fantasy or kind of sci-fi. It's more of a, I guess, realistic sort of sci-fi. And, the only things they establish are, okay, so there's, Mother, who it's like, okay, well, it seems to just be like the main computer where the Captain Dallas is getting his orders and stuff. But then it's like, okay, well, other than that, I mean, yeah, we have a spaceship and we have an alien, and that's pretty much like the gist of it, That's pretty much all there is in terms of like, sci-fi, I suppose. So I would have never suspected that Ash was a robot, that robots were a possibility, So when they're like, oh, the company sent a damn robot here, and it's like, what? The company has robots? What company? Huh? Like, you can't just pull that on me, I didn't suspect that, because when Ash starts acting weird, I suspected that it was the alien. I thought the alien did something to him, But no, he was a robot. Like, how could I have ever thought that would be a thing, Oh, boy, well, it's not bad. It's a genuine good surprise, because it's like you wouldn't expect that to happen, but when you think about the world that they have established in this movie, you can understand that there could be a robot. It's just that they don't give you any indication that there can be a robot, Did that make any sense? I don't know. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. We can go ahead and hop into the notes on this one. The first thing I wrote down is the Nostromo. So that was interesting, and this kind of goes into the second note about the signal and the claws. So the Nostromo is specifically a commercial, like a commercial cargo vehicle, which is interesting. So we don't know what cargo they were hauling, It's just that I guess that's just what they do, Which is interesting when you think about, like, okay, well, there's a scientist on board here, like, wait, if this is basically just a cargo ship, why does a scientist need to be here? It's like, oh, okay, I guess he's sort of also the medic, He's the medic of the group, and, there's this decently sized medical bay and stuff. Like, I don't know, like, and I guess because, the fact that they have such long journeys anyway, I guess it makes sense. Like, like they have such long journeys, they go into cryo sleep in order to basically pass the time on this long journey. Like, I guess, they haven't invented warp speed yet. They can go decently fast, but not again, like those other sci-fi things like, Star Wars or Star Trek. Okay. Oh God, excuse me. Like I said, it's more of a realistic sort of sci-fi. So because of that, it makes it more like, the point is lost. The point is lost, but you understand, right? Right? The point is lost. But anyway, so for this commercial cargo ship to have this, scientist on board is very interesting. But it seemed like, I don't know, like, the entire crew, I guess, is sort of interesting. It's like, okay, so, like, we have the scientist who, doubles as the medic, which makes sense, again, on a long journey. Some things might happen. You need a medic. Okay. And then this entire crew, we have the engineers, that makes sense, and Captain Dallas, that makes sense. I thought Ripley was going to be like the first officer, but she said third. Now I'm wondering, when she says third officer, does she mean like there were two people above her and Captain Dallas? Or was it specifically... Because I guess she does say something to... Ash when it's like, when these two are off... When these two are off the ship, I'm the senior officer. So I guess... But one of those was Captain Dallas. So I guess technically Dallas would be like the first officer, even though it's first officer to the captain. Not the point. So he's like the first officer. Then there's someone else. I don't remember who it was. It might have been Kane. And then it's Ripley. And because those two were off the ship, it gave her... It basically made her the senior officer, Which also means that Ash doesn't outrank her, So that was interesting. Like, I'm just like trying to understand this whole like dynamic of the Nostromo, So yeah, that was interesting. Like the fact that it's like, yeah, this is just a commercial vehicle, commercial cargo vehicle, and then they're like, well, we got this signal. Well, I guess we should go figure out what this signal is. Like, I was kind of with Parker, where it's like, do we really need to do that? We're just a commercial vehicle. But they do bring up, like, I guess in the rules, yeah, even though they are a commercial cargo vehicle, they are supposed to go do that, which is interesting. Like, it doesn't seem like that should be the thing, It doesn't seem like that should be a thing, but they went down there. Now, okay. Two things about how they landed. The first thing is that they did not check the atmosphere before they landed. They just went down there, found a decent enough place, and then landed, and, then there were a lot of troubles. And then they figured out, what the atmosphere was, and they're like, oh, it's very, primordial out there, Like, very early planet sort of thing. Then, later, Ripley is like, hey, we've deciphered, Mother has deciphered part of the signal, and it's not an SOS, it's a warning, like, stay away from this place, here's the signal to warn you. But they decipher it after they've already landed and gone out. Like, what are you doing? Was it because they were in a rush? That's the thing where it's like, okay, these two things basically have to happen like this in order for a movie to happen, Like, okay, I can understand whatever, they have the claws in order to go down there and stuff, but they don't check the atmosphere first, which you could argue, okay, maybe you don't need to do that necessarily, but if you're going down to a planet, I would check the atmosphere first, Like, I don't know. That one kind of bothered me, but the one that bothered me more was the fact of the warning, And it's like, and Ripley was like, oh, it's a warning. I should go out there and get them, and we should get the hell out of here. And Ash is like, well, if it's a warning, they'll figure out what the warning's for. It's like, what? Now, we know now that that's because, he has his sort of prime directive about capturing the alien. But still, it's like, well, no. It's like, if you say, like, oh, that was actually a warning not to walk into the trap, they're walking right into a trap. And then another guy goes, well, they'll figure out why it's a warning once they walk into the trap. Like, what? No, go get them out of the trap. What are you doing? Like, that's not how that works. So, and again, you can chalk it up, at least on Ash's part, you can chalk it up to, well, it's his programming, he wants to save, or he wants to capture the alien, I understand that. But, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like, it's these two specific, like, oversights, basically. It's these two mistakes, basically, that happen that allow us to have a movie. Which I just think is odd. Like, and again, I could sort of overlook the atmosphere thing. Like, because even if, like, even if they figured out, before they landed, they figured out what the atmosphere is, I could still see them going down and landing, just maybe being a bit safer about it. But the whole thing of the signal, I would wait and see what that signal means, Because, yeah, it's a warning. And then, again, when Ash is saying, like, oh, well, they'll figure out why it's a warning. And again, we know now that that's because of his programming, but that's not how warnings work. That's just not how warnings work, So, that's maybe, I don't want to say, like, a gripe, but it's like I don't want to say, like, that's a criticism, really, but it's kind of I guess a nitpick, that it's like, okay, these two specific things had to happen in order for this movie to happen, Like, if they had waited, figured out what the atmosphere was, and then deciphered enough of the message to figure out what it is, and then they were like, oh, it's a warning. Well, let's not go down there. And maybe you could be like, okay, well, maybe there would have been, like, some talk about, like, oh, well, we still got to go down there anyway, And it's like, mother's orders and stuff. Like, I don't know. But at least then they would kind of know what they're getting into. But then, would you have a movie? I don't know. So that's like, honestly, a small nitpick I have with that. It's like, these two things had to specifically happen this way in order for the movie to work, So, I don't know. Some good water. All right. What do we got next? A face hugger. I mean, I kind of knew that was coming, again, because this movie is referenced in pop culture and everything, I knew that there were face huggers, I knew about the chest burster, I pretty much knew about the alien, that there was going to be an alien, but still pretty interesting. I don't know, it's interesting that it's like, Kane was so curious, I don't even know, like, what his job was on the ship. I don't know, but that was kind of interesting. I mean, just going and finding the facehugger was kind of interesting. Okay, so here's the next thing, is the quarantine. So I like that Ripley, was talking about the quarantine and everything, and, Ash, pretty much overrided her decision. And obviously, again, we know that that's because of his programming, because he's a friggin' robot, apparently. But it's interesting. It's interesting because, one would think, while you're watching that scene, it's like, okay, Ripley is thinking of the entire crew. It's like, okay, if there is anything that has happened to Kane, then he needs to be quarantined for 24 hours, And if we just let him go, then there is a risk of, infecting everyone else, because that's how quarantine works, Quarantine is important. So they just override that. They bring him in. Now, and granted, they are careful when they bring him in, they've got the masks on and everything, because it's always important to wear your mask as well. So I don't know. It's just interesting, like, and especially too later when you get what was it? There was another scene There was another scene where I brought this up. What was it? Was it specifically... Was it that... Oh, gosh. Sorry. Was it when they were catching it, or was it when... Oh, I don't remember. There was something else Ripley brought up later that was interesting. I guess it was when it was killing it, you know? Might have been that. Can I... I don't know if I can go back. Okay, that's... Okay, I think it was right here.
I'm not trying to change your mind, Dallas. I just want you to listen. Will you listen to... Just tell me how you can make that kind of decision.
Look, I just run the ship. Anything that has to do with the science division, Ash has the final word.
How does that happen?
It happens, my dear, because that's what the company wants to happen.
Since when is that standard procedure?
The procedure is to do what the hell they tell you to do.
Did you ever ship out with Ash before?
I went out 5 times with another science officer. They replaced him 2 days before we left Thetis with Ash.
I don't trust him.
I don't trust anybody. What's happening with the repairs? How's it going?
All the premature.
Good, let's get rid of it.
For God's sake, this is the first time that we've encountered a species like this. It has to go back, all sorts of tests have to be made.
Ash, are you kidding? This thing bled acid. Who knows what it's gonna do when it's dead?
I think it's safe to assume that it's a zombie. That means it has to go back.
Okay, I guess it was that part where they're saying, you know, once the face hugger is dead, Ripley's like, all right, let's get rid of it and get out of here, basically, you know? Because it's definitely that she was more concerned with the safety of the crew, you know? She was definitely more concerned with the safety of the crew as a whole, you know? Which is why she, you know, even if they were like, oh, well, you know, in 24 hours that thing could kill Kane. Yes, but also if you don't quarantine it, it could kill the rest of us. Which, to be fair, it kind of did, honestly, you know? So... yeah, I don't know. It's interesting because, you know, you put that against you put that against Ash, who's saying, "Oh no, we have to take it back and run tests and stuff like this. We've never encountered a species like this before." And it's like, yes, but I don't know. I guess at that point, the worst it had done was just attach itself to Kane. And then, the bleeding acid, but that was about it. You know, and it's after... What were they going to do with the little... the little alien?
It's got a portable back. Shouldn't damage it, little bastard, unless its skin's thinner than ours. But it will give him a little incentive.
I'll just have to find him.
Yeah, I think Darby got up, so I'm gonna go get him. Oh God, light.
Now, anyone see this thing you catch in the net that Parker is holding in his lap? Parker, I don't want any ropes. You know, man. Catch it, put it in the airlock.
Okay, yeah.
Channels are open on all decks. I want you to communicate. Keep in touch at all times, all right?
Okay, so once the alien came out, they were ready to kill it, just completely. So that's interesting. Like, you don't really hear anything from... You don't really hear any, like, arguments from Ash about it. But he was probably thinking that there was no way that they could catch it, you know? So So yeah, that's the interesting thing. It's like it's all about, it's pretty much about, for Ripley at least, it's about the safety of the crew as a whole. I guess sort of needs of the many, especially when it comes to quarantining Kane. Because now it makes you wonder, like, what exactly the quarantine would have been, So, well, it's also interesting, too, because, like, he wakes up, they say, like, oh, well, we're going to have to quarantine Kane for at least 24 hours. He wakes up, they all go in there, and then they're all like, oh, well, I guess he's all right now. And then they just go, start eating. So that's the thing. It's very odd, like, that I don't know. And maybe this is because, we're in 2020 and, the Backstreet Boys reunion tour is going nuts right now. And quarantine is a very topical thing right now. So, when they say, hey, we're going to have to quarantine Kane for 24 hours, I'm sitting here thinking, yes, do that. You don't know what the hell he has, and then it's like, oh, well, he's awake. He's awake and he's talking. Let's all go in there and then let's all, go eat before we go back to sleep. He's okay, clearly. It's like, what? No. Test him, quarantine him. Because then, in quarantine, you probably could have just trapped the alien right then and there, and it would have been good. So, yeah, it's a little frustrating, and again, maybe that's because I'm watching this in 2020, Like, I don't know if people, although I feel like people might have still had that opinion, I don't know if like in 1979, but someone, right? Can someone out there tell me, were you feeling the same way? Even if you knew or you didn't know, because obviously I knew that the chest burster scene was coming, but still, like, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, yes, quarantine, let's do that. But honestly, yeah, that would have, like, I almost feel like that would have happened in any other story, Or just in a normal story. It specifically needs to happen here, obviously, and that's fine, but it's just, I don't know. And then, yeah, we had the chest burster. It was a good effect. I really like that, just having a little thing pop out. It's interesting how much it grows, like, in the span of a few hours, it just pretty much grows to, like, full size. I thought that was pretty interesting. So yeah, and I didn't realize, like, I kind of thought maybe, once they landed, then the alien would get on board, but I didn't even piece it together that, oh, it's the face hugger that basically puts the chest, the alien into Kane, bursts out of his chest, and then grows into the alien. So, yeah, so that was interesting. Again, we had catching it, so I like as soon as it, bursts out and kills Kane, they're like, okay, we're going to catch it, we're going to throw it out the airlock and kill it. So I like that. Let's see. We had Brett's death after that, with this freaking cat, man. Honestly, like, now with Brett, I understand, like, okay, yeah, you want to go get the cat because you don't want him popping up on the scanner again, So I understand that, but later on when she is going, trying to find that cat, it's like, the ship's gonna blow up. I don't think, you're gonna blow up the ship. I don't think you really need to go after the cat right now. And it's interesting too, because like that whole scene with Brett's death, that took a good while, honestly. Like, well, and that's the thing too, is what honestly helps this movie is that it is such a slower pace. You can take it in, so well. For a movie that's just under 2 hours, it really does work out. It's just a nice, slow, methodical pace. But yeah, you're just sitting there because you're waiting for Brett to die. You're waiting for the alien to kill him. So you're just sitting there for what feels like almost 5 minutes, just like, when's this guy gonna die? So that was interesting. Let's see. Then we had the air ducts, and the death of Dallas, which sucked. But it was still kind of interesting. I like how they immediately like, okay, it has to be traveling through the air ducts, so let's just get it to where it's trapped in the airlock, and then we'll shoot it out. So yeah, and I guess so. The reason Dallas had to go in was to get a location on it, I guess. Yeah. And it's also interesting when they say it's like, oh, there's no blood, no body, no Dallas, no nothing. It's like, really? It didn't leave anything. What, did it eat him just completely? Like, I don't know. Like, that was kind of interesting. That it's like, yeah, no, he completely gone and dead. It's like, well, okay, I guess the alien is very clean, but I don't know. That just seemed kind of odd. Let's see. And then we had the specific... I feel like, we're really powering through the movie and the discussion, but I mean, we're going on specific plot points, and between that is a lot of, the slow moving, which is good. It's good for this movie, especially to make it more atmospheric, but yeah, we are really just powering through each plot point here. So, rerouted. That was interesting with the reveal that they were specifically rerouted to that planet to get the alien. I feel like there were better ways that you could have done this, like why not send a specific like science vessel that knows what's going on and what to do, and then they go and get the alien, and there you go. Why are you that's like, unless it's just that they were the only ship in the quadrant or something, but I don't know, it does seem kind of weird when you think about it, like, oh, we're just going to, without telling anyone, we're just going to reroute this cargo ship over here. Like, what? I don't get that, And then the big shock that Ash was actually a robot. Again, it's a good twist. It also kind of, you almost feel like it comes out of left field, but then you realize, no, that's not as far left as you would, not as far left field as you would think. My left, your left is over here, but still. What is it? Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, I got confused because my image on the camera is mirrored, so I got confused for a sec. But anyway, yeah. So again, a big twist that it's like, oh, he's a robot, and he is trying to, capture the alien and study it. Like, okay. Well, we never learn why, really, other than just for science, like, okay, but yeah, like, I would have never suspected. That was a very big twist, because they never established that robots are a thing. Like, because even if they had established, robots, even if in, like, an offhanded line, I probably still wouldn't have guessed that Ash was a robot. So, yeah, it was very interesting, honestly. And then, he talks about, oh, they're a perfect life form. And I was kind of sitting here thinking, it's like, I heard the exact same thing on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure with cars. He became the perfect life form, and guess what? Joseph shot him out into space. We could probably do that here too, Like, tell me, is this alien so invincible, like, it could survive an explosion? Like, specifically, a ship exploding? Which I guess we don't really know. We don't really know because it wasn't on board, but yeah. So we had the self-destruct, which was interesting, and that's when we lost Parker and Lambert. Which, that sucked too, because it was two of them, That, it was getting out of hand, that now there are two of them. No, but yeah, it's like, okay, there were two of them, and he still took them out. And I guess it was because, Parker had the flamethrower, didn't he? But he didn't, he had the flamethrower, but he didn't use it because Lambert was right there. And, on the one hand, it's like, okay, I understand he's trying to save her. On the other hand, needs of the many, like, you might want to get rid of this thing, especially when she keeps saying that she can't move, when she keeps saying that she can't move, then it's like, okay, let me just hit it and hope I don't really hit Lambert, But instead, both of them died. And then the friggin' cat. That cat caused way more trouble than it should have, That cat is the reason that Brett is dead, And again, it's like, when Ripley starts, going looking for the cat, it's like, don't go for the cat. Who cares about the cat? Needs of the many. You don't need the cat. Like, look, I get it. I don't even know whose cat that is. It's just a cat. But it's like, look, just don't. Why? Don't go for the cat. Don't. Like, just keep going with what you're doing. So, I don't know. But yeah. And then we got to the shuttle. Again, I pretty much knew that Ripley survived. And I had a hunch that the alien did make it to the shuttle. So that was interesting. And then I do like the way she does finally kill it. Which, this perfect thing that it's like, okay, we were thinking, like, oh, well, can it withstand a spaceship blowing up? We didn't even have to go that far. All we had to do was knock it into space, hit it with the thrusters, and then it's just gone. Now, I guess technically, maybe we don't know if it actually died there, but I think it's pretty safe to assume that it died there, So, that was really, really cool. Well, because interestingly, like, we see the thing, and it kind of looks at the cat, and then, she escapes, tries to shut down the self-destruct. It doesn't work, so she goes back. It's nowhere to be found. She grabs the cat, gets in the shuttle, and leaves. And then, the alien is not fast anymore after that. It's like, it's just completely, like, injured, basically. Like, it's there on the shuttle with her, but it's not like, getting up and trying to get her immediately. It seemed like kind of injured, like kind of stuck, So, like, it is basically, it wasn't as mobile anymore, which allowed her enough time to put on the suit, get the harpoon gun, basically, and then that is how she blasted it off into space. So, but that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool way of killing it. And yeah, Ripley was the last survivor of the Nostromo. So yeah, I mean, this was a really good movie. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, there were some jump scares, but hey, we had a good time with it, And again, there were some things, especially mainly at the beginning, that it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of odd that they don't, like, decipher the signal before they go down there. They don't test the atmosphere before they go down there. But you can really just sort of set that aside. You really can set that aside. And again, the twist with Ash, I think, was really, really solid. Even though, yes, you would never expect that to be a thing, because they do not establish at all that robots are possible in this series. They don't establish that robots are here. Like, there are robots in this world, and then just boom, oh, he's a robot. Like, oh, I'm sitting here thinking he's possessed, but no, he's a robot. So, yeah. So that was all pretty cool. I did like that. And good horror, good suspense, good characters, just good. All around good. Really enjoyed this. I think... God. Sorry. When I'm in full screen on stuff, my computer doesn't give me notifications. But as soon as I get out of full screen, then it's done. Okay, yes. So, next week, not next week, but the next movie reaction we're going to be doing is My Hero Academia 2 Heroes. So, be sure to come back for that if you've seen My Hero Academia. If not, then meh. But yeah. But that's pretty much it. Happy Halloween-ish. Who knows? Next year we'll do some more Halloween movies. Hopefully more than just one. And yeah. Maybe Aliens. Maybe we'll do Aliens next year. We'll have to see. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and that's pretty much that. So, with all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my movie reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later. Happy Halloween.